BookTube. So, I finally started my first book for the month of November, and that's Salingkit by Cyan Abad-Jugo. I'm already on page 29 right now, so I thought I'd already weigh in on my first impressions. It very clearly states on here that its tagline is that it's a 1986 diary. We see the very prominent color yellow here on the book cover, and the synopsis at the back says it's not just any ordinary year. It's the year of the tiger, the year of people power, the year of Halley's Comet, the year of upheaval and change. So I pretty much assumed that I know what I'm getting into, that I knew what I'm signing up for when I picked up and selected this book and started reading it. For the most part, yes. There's a very detailed, very extensive introduction by the author before the first chapter even happened. On here, she recounts how it was growing up during the martial law, because she apparently is a martial law baby. She was born on the 1970s, and therefore her childhood and teenage years happened during the 1980s, which was the year of the people power. And then after that very in-depth, very detailed introduction, wherein she recounts her recollection of that era and what she could observe from the actions of her family members. She has also included on there the actual timeline of events, a summary of the incidents that happened, which led to the people power, what prompted it, and the important circumstances that surrounded that. And then it concluded by tying it up with the election of Noynoy Aquino. I think this book got published around that time, so it's like coming full circle, right, to the origin of her reference for this coming of age story. She has also included like a chart timeline of events, wherein she very neatly indicated the sequence of the important dates and what took place. It's a very handy timeline of what has happened. Which, I truly appreciate that before the main event took place, which is the story, the author has very clearly used this book as a platform for educating young people, since this book is geared towards them. They are the target demographic. So I'm glad that she took the opportunity to really express where she's coming from and what her intentions are for coming up with the story. It was just a bit of a whiplash, though, to be honest, because the introduction and the timeline about people power in this book, I counted it, and it's 21 pages long. And then we start with chapter 1 of the story, and we know, of course, that the story is gonna be narrated in the form of diary entries. I was just really, I don't know if it's shock or surprise, but our protagonist has introduced herself like this. Hello, diary. My name is Goro. Actually, it's Kitty. But I am part of the New Wavers Club now, the NWC. We've all decided to use our code names beginning this year. It's our New Year's resolution. And then she proceeded by indicating the names of her circle of friends. There's 4 of them. And what their respective code names are. And these code names are the names of their favorite musician from their favorite British rock band that time, which right away made me pause because hold up, are they standing bands and they have biases? I was truly shook. I mean, somehow at the back of my head, I've always known that fangirling is an ancient art, that it's been there for as long as the world can remember, but it still shocks me so much to find out that even in the Philippines we have that level of dedication towards musicians. I suddenly feel very validated. So that's what I'm talking about. I was prepared for the backdrop of this story to be people power, the revolution, martial law, and all that. I was not prepared that the story is really gonna be heavily centered as well on the bands, the British rock bands that they support, because that's what's essentially the glue of their friendship. That's what's bonding them together, their love for their favorite bands. The main bias of our protagonist is Martin Gore from Depeche Mode, and then the rest of her 3 friends are standing Duran Duran and Tears for Fears. So they all have their respective crushes. And the names of their crushes are their nicknames. So they call each other that. They refuse to call each other by their real names. They call each other by the names of their biases. I don't know, it's just so cute, but it's kind of like you're looking at a CCTV of yourself. That's how it felt like to me for some reason. Also, the nostalgia is really massive because I myself had been a part of a group which comprises of 4. So I suddenly really missed my grade school best friends. Of course, one of them is still my best friend right now. Cherry is originally part of that circle. But our 2 other best friends, they left after 6th grade. So only Cherry and I stayed classmates during high school, and then we of course kept in touch until our college years and until now. So it's just very nostalgic to be part of a friend circle like that, because during that time I very clearly remember we also share that kind of infatuation, but I don't know if it's embarrassing or not, but we all have a crush on a single person. It's not a celebrity, but it's someone from our school. But, it kind of puzzles me right now how we all really agreed on crushing just one boy. Like, how did we come to agree? Like, what is the logic of sharing him if ever one of us ends up with a guy? Is that gonna be okay? I don't know if we've ever discussed that, but it was just so fun, alright? It was just so fun to share a common love for something, for someone. Yeah. So that's what this made me remember. Also, I felt quite dumb because I realized very late that that's what the cover is all about. That's why there are cassette tapes. I should have known, right? I should have known. I know. And right, so I'm 29 pages in right now, and so far it's been very light, but it never forgets that the heart of the story is still really martial law. Kitty, our main character, lives with the family of her aunt because her mother left for the States and her father was missing. After attending a rally or a demonstration, her father haven't come home. So a part of them is quite resigned that the father has already died. So Kitty is living with her tita and her older cousin, which was attending university during that time. Kuya Alan, that's the name of her cousin, is very passionate, very active in being involved in demonstrations, in fighting for the fight for freedom. So, in one of these occasions, her Kuya Alan has invited her to come with them to a rally. This part right here where I stop at page 29, I think is a very beautiful example of how Cyan Abad-Jugo has very much captured and meshed together the elements of coming of age, since this is a YA story, and the significance of this being set during the time of martial law. So Kitty has joined a rally, right? And then, while that is going on, she suddenly had her period. So, it's so amusing to read here. It says, "But now Tita Liana keeps joking at the dinner table that I am no longer a kitten, but a cat. And today, Taylor kept telling Orzabal and Mrs. Kurt Smith that although our revolution was bloodless, someone actually shed blood. And her name is Gori Goro." So, it encapsulated everything. Their code names and the irony of her having her first day of having period at the time when what's being touted as a bloodless revolution is taking place. So I thought it was just really funny and interesting. But yeah, I'm very interested with the rest of what's gonna take place. This is a very short book. It's only 133 pages long, I think, so I'm hoping I could finish this by tonight. I started this earlier today, but I was not able to get on with the rest of the book because I was busy with things. But yeah, hopefully I'll finish this throughout the night. why exactly, but I find that I'm more invested on the family scenes than the ones about Kitty and her friends. The family scenes, or the parts here that are about her family, or her relationship with her family, is very very much Asian, very Filipino. I like how I can resonate a lot with those parts. I don't think I'm enjoying the part about her interaction with her friends as much as I would like to. It tickled me pink the first time I've read about how their friendship works. That they are all huge fans of this British rock bands. Because that is also something that I can identify with, sure. However, it's one thing to be bound together by your love of a certain band or a certain group of rock bands. But it's another story if you're also strangely connected because of your united hate towards someone in your school. I mean, I understand why some stories really feel the need to indicate or assign the villain role to one of the characters. I'm not really a fan whenever that happens because I do think that everyone has a good and bad side, so to make them completely evil is just, I don't know, stereotyping. I don't know if this is because we really only ever see that mean girl on scenes where she's doing despicable things. Her name is Wanda. She's always portrayed doing these immature things. But personally, I don't think they are enough grounds for her to be hated that much. I mean, sure, she feels like she should be the center of attention, that everyone's entitled to her validation. But the way Kitty and her friends take so much pleasure in, you know, calling her names, just mocking everything about her doesn't sit right with me. I mean, everyone could argue, and I'm probably am guilty of this, but sometimes in your friend group, sometimes it's inevitable to really go below the belt when you are sharing or ranting about a particular person, right? Uh, I would say every one of us, in one way or another, has said some really nasty, mean things out of anger, if you know what I mean. And those words could have been excellent source material for us to be canceled. I think all of us are guilty towards that. But Kitty and her friends, it's almost being regarded as something bordering on slapstick, the way they sort of degrade her. It's not in her face degrading, but within their friend group, just the four of them. I mean, I'm not sure if this is a parody of the kind of, or the brand of comedy that we used to have during those times. God knows how terrible our local comedy movies had been. I just wish the book didn't make me remember of those things. Alright, going back to the good things, Kitty, our main character, is into the posh mode, and that's one thing that I find really cute, how they're so into this rock bands that they support. So I was so intrigued because lyrics were included on the diary entries and on some parts of the story. So I thought I'll check them out. I have searched them on Spotify and thought that I should probably listen to. So I thought that I'm gonna go ahead and browse that particular album that Kitty's listening to as I'm reading this book, the rest of it, and see if it will also get me in the mood as what she's feeling. So I'll also check out the other songs that are coded on here, see if that will help me appreciate the story more. But yeah, let's see. We have here Black Celebration, their 1986 album. So let's see. World Full of Nothing. Right? I have now breached the 100-page mark. I'm now on page 111. One thing I truly love about Kitty's character, though, I like that her personal struggle is about apathy, something that I also feel very guilty of time and time again. I mean, especially because the backdrop of this novel is against a very politically charged era where everyone is in one way or another somehow, pressured into joining the cause or being encouraged to stand up for the fight for freedom. I like how Kitty, as she struggles with these feelings of apathy within herself, I like how she's surrounded by people with varying degrees of interest, involvement regarding what's happening in the country. Definitely her Kuya Alan is I think the most impactful here. Cousin who's a college student and is very much a participant in rallies and demonstrations, and very loud, very opinionated about the importance and the significance of freedom. And then there's Kitty's aunt and uncle who always stays tuned for the daily news and the updates with what's going on. They're very much up to date and always have a criticism or two about what they can see on their TV screen, but they cannot be bothered to step outside of the convenience of their house. They refuse to participate in any rallies or movement. And then, of course, in Kitty's school, we have a mixture of those that are very much in support to the advocacy of freedom, and then it's actually a division between that and those who are considered loyalists or those who are still in support of the Marcos regime. And then, of course, there are students who also suffer the same kind of apathetic feelings that Kitty suffers from. They know what they believe in, but they're not that hot-blooded. They're not that wildly passionate as the rest of their peers. And then there are those people who are undecided. Of course, they cannot pick which side are they gonna be siding with. I really like this part. This is the day after Kitty, the rest of her classmates, took the entrance test or the entrance exam for a college or a university that they're applying to. Kitty recounts that one time when her father told her that if you could not go to a good college or you cannot pass the exam to a good university, or if you get into one and you end up not graduating, if you perform poorly in college, that you'd rather go back to the province and just plant kamote. That's a very it's a very common saying in the Philippines, right? Magtanim ka na lang ng kamote, something like that. And I love it that when her Kuya Alan, who at the very start of the book is introduced as a student who is into agricultural reform. When her Kuya Alan asked her about how her tests had been, she ended up replying like this, that she should probably just go back to the province and plant kamote, in reference to what her father told her one time. And Kuya Alan went into an unexpected outburst and she was shook. Her Kuya Alan nagged her and expressed his annoyance at how Kitty said that in a very condescending way, that planting root crops or planting kamote is a very respectable thing to do, that she should not degrade that kind of profession only because she is not feeling confident about her performance on the college entrance exam. So I don't know, I just really find that part really good. We should not really diminish the importance and value of other professions different from us. I like that. This book is 133 pages long, so I think I would be finishing this in an hour or two. I hope so. Yeah, but I'll probably give my final thoughts tomorrow morning, so that I can look at this on a better perspective. So I finally finished Salingkit by Cyan Abad-Jugo. This took me one afternoon and one overnight read for me to finish, which is one of the quickest books that I've ever finished in recent memory. Yeah, it's only 133 pages long, sure, but it's a very easy book to read, very accessible. It didn't drag at any point, so that's good. Sadly, however, this book made me remember what I like so much, what makes me so crazy about historical fiction, which is the rich, exquisite, beautiful, lyrical, almost poetic style of writing that sets the mood, the atmosphere, the ambience, and it just sets or paints the world and the time where the story is taking place. That's what I love so much about historical fiction, right? I feel really bad saying this, but the writing style in this book leaves so much room to be desired. I mean, I get it. The story is told from the diary entry of a teenager. So I understand that there's an attempt to make things realistic by making it sound juvenile, but there are parts that are outside of the diary entries. There's an actual narration happening in between the diary entries, which is outside of Kitty's point of view. And the style of writing there is not even as compelling as the actual diary entry of Kitty, so I really don't know what to feel. You know what this makes me remember? Uh, this is The Wrong Boy by Willie Russell. I've read this so many years back, but I still distinctly remember this book because this is told from the perspective of a fanboy of Morrissey, which is from the band, it's also a rock band, The Smiths. Instead of diary entries though, this is told or narrated in the form of fan letters that the main character writes to Morrissey. So it's fan mail. That's how it's depicted instead of diary entries. And for sure, the probably the humor here is also outdated and probably not as fresh or relevant anymore. But the writing style is still very much distinct and something that you could remember. It has a very clear cut insight into what the character's mind looks like, and it also gives you a good picture of the world. Salingkit has a very important plot and message to tell, has very questionable relationship dynamics, but I really love the progression of the plot and even how it ended. But it matters to me. It matters to me that the author could convey the precise vibe that she wanted to tell for me to be truly immersed in the story. So also, if I think about fangirling, what comes to mind, especially if we're talking about the 80s or the 90s, what I could remember for sure is the Reply series, specifically Reply 1997 and Reply 1988. Those dramas, chef's kiss. I was really hoping that this book could also evoke that bittersweet nostalgia, which is heartbreaking and atmospheric and just realistic across the board. But I think the one Filipino content that I could see resembling the story that took place here would probably be Pisay. It's that was during my college years. It's a Cinemalaya indie film about students from the Philippine Science High School, and I believe that also took place during the Marcos People Power era. So it bears so much resemblance from the timeline here, and I think that did a better job than this. Although, you know what, I think if this would be adapted into an indie film, I think this is something really good to watch. So I don't know, it's strange, but I think it would be much better as a movie than a book, if you get what I mean. Yeah, who knows, maybe someday a book like that would properly capture the Filipino teenage experience in the 80s and the 90s can be written by us, and I would be really happy once that happens. Elections is just around the corner, so it's a very important time for us to, you know, be loud about our opinions. Definitely, we deserve good governance and good leadership, so let's hope for that. This, I think, is one of my most favorite things about the book, which is the very last part, the about the author section of the book. It says here, Cyan Abad-Jugo was 14 years old when People Power took place. She regrets not paying better attention to the world around her in 1986. This book was written partly to make up for it and partly to renew her belief in all of youth's ideals. Let's remain hopeful that good things are about to come. We deserve it, and I think we should be expressing it more loudly as much as we can.